And just me saying those simple things, when I tell you the look of fire within her eyes, that someone dare challenged her, that someone dare challenged her illustrious education. This is coming from someone with a master's degree, with an MBA. I would never throw out my education as a way to try to prove somebody wrong. The modern woman today is often awarded for being loud and strong, but more often than not, she's wrong. Guys, I got a quick short story. I'm gonna talk to you guys if I'm in a room with you right now. I got a quick short story based off on something that happened to me last night that I wanted to bring to you guys is attention, which just reminds me why I have a YouTube channel and why I continue to create, because the issues that we talk about on this channel in the ways that I do it, I know each and every one of you that continues to watch this channel know exactly what it is that I'm talking about. And when I do give myself the opportunity to get out and enjoy the world, I often come across these same damn personalities. So pay attention. So I went out last night for Dolo. It was like maybe 10:30 at night or something like that. I took a nap earlier in the day, had a lot of energy. I'm like, all right, let me go across to the local brew house and see what's crack-a-lackin', right? So I get up in there, maneuver myself into the bar area. It's a fantastic little bar seating arrangement. It's in like, let's say like a square or something like that. So I'm at one of the corners of the square. So I sit down. There's a seat empty to the left of me. On the other corner, there's these two lovely young ladies, okay? They're having a conversation. So they're having a conversation. Let me also say this as well. The one that was closest to me, I'd give her like maybe a 3 out of 10. The one that was right next to her, maybe a 4 out of 10, okay? So anyway, I sat my ass down because, I was catching up on my day. I'm looking at my emails, looking at my DMs, like answering different things. Was paying them no mind, no attention whatsoever. Because again, 3 and 4.5. Anyway, so they are continuing to have a conversation. And you could tell based off of the type of women that they were, especially the one that was a 4.5, modern as hell. Within the conversation, they were loudly bringing up the educational institutions that they've gone to. Oh, did you hear that Brad at the fraternity? All of this, that, the third. Oh, and he's going off now, and he's bald now. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, it's body positivity when it refers to women only. Oh, okay, of course. By the way, you can always tell how women will act towards you in a relationship if you can catch them talking with their homegirls about men. If they bring out just nothing but consistently negative traits to talk about and or bring up men, then you got yourself a problem. Or watch them around servers, or watch them around their brothers, their uncle, and their father. Because the way that they treat those people is how they're going to treat you when you marry them and you lost your leverage. Pay attention. Anyway, I'm ignoring them. Out of nowhere comes a random dude, right? Caucasian, middle age of 50s, had himself like, let's say a 35-year-old woman with him. Thinking to myself, he's cool, right? Comes out of nowhere, but you could tell he had been drinking a little bit. And he says, listen, say female when I say this. And I was like, wait, what? Say female when I say this. So I'm like, okay. So the girl that he's with walks around to the other side of me, and then he says to me, is Tweety Bird a male or a female? I'm like, what? And I'm looking at her, she's like, answer the question, right? So is Tweety Bird a male or a female? Now, everything previously in my life was like, I think Tweety Bird is a boy. I think that was a boy. But he told me to say female. So I'm like, all right, I'll try to help the young scholar out. I said female, right? So when I said female, he was like, yeah, see, I told you. And the girl was like, what? How could you say that? Tweety Bird is a boy. Meanwhile, I'm like, let me go Google this shit. I Googled this shit, and it was like a picture of Tweety Bird with some flowers and roses in her head. I'm like, oh, okay. This is how the trans shit started. Anyway, I'm not serious, but I'm about to edit that out. Anyway. So he's sitting over here celebrating, she's not, and I'm like, man, I think Tweety Boy is actually a boy, right? So anyway, the two lovely 3s and 4.5s were over there, listening to the whole entire conversation. So this whole conversation broke out to a whole conversation with everybody that was kind of in the bar, because they're all like, Tweety Bird, man, female, da-da-da. So there was a guy sitting next to the 4.5, and he looked over at the couple that came to me and was like laughing and joking. It was like, oh, that's a wholesome couple. This is where it gets interesting. This is a wholesome couple. The 4.5 goes to the young man and says, I would never want my relationships described as wholesome. He was like, wait, why? And she said, because wholesome sounds like homely. Okay? And I'm sitting here, I'm listening to this conversation. I'm like, wholesome sounds like homely. No, it doesn't. I'm like, no, it doesn't. This is what I'm saying to myself. And the young brother, the young scholars over there like, wait a minute, like wholesome and homely are different words, right? Homely meaning ugly, right? Like, oh, homegirl is kind of homely. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't look very well, okay? She's a homely young lady. Wholesome meaning like nice and perhaps traditional, right? Like, aw, gives you good feeling, okay? Wholesome. I'm thinking to myself, 100 years ago when the marriage rate was the highest that it was for people that look like me, wholesome would have been a great way to describe couples in relationship, but more than likely than not, they like the Krishan Rocks and the black and blue faces to lead their relationships. Anyway, let me get back into the story. Wholesome and homely. The young brother was confused, but was unable to articulate why what she was saying didn't make any sense. And this is why I think it's so beneficial to watch my particular channel in the way that you guys do, because it allows you to compartmentalize the bullshit that you hear from across the table to set it into frameworks to understand how to deal with shit like this. Because when he questioned, hey, wait a minute, why would homely and wholesome, why would they make you feel like the same word, even though that they're not? Her response was, and I quote, I know what the definition of words are and mean because I have 3 master's degrees. What? What? That's what I was thinking in my head. And here's what I wanted to say. Being educated conventionally has nothing to do with intelligence. It has nothing to do with you understanding words. And let me tell you guys something. If you get into relationships with women that have an overarching need, an over-encumbering need to be right, you are picking one of the worst types of people to be in a relationship with, because her doing that completely deflected his point. And what she was doing was trying to underpin his questioning with this authority bias up over him. So he gave up on the conversation because he's a smart young brother. So I took over the reins. So I said to her, ma'am, I understand that you're heavily educated, but do you know the definitions? Do you know that they're markedly different words from each other? And just me saying those simple things, when I tell you the look of fire within her eyes, that someone dare challenged her, illustrious education. This is coming from someone with a master's degree, with an MBA. I would never throw out my education as a way to try to prove somebody wrong. But she looked at me as if, how dare you challenge me? How dare you say that perhaps the way that I understand this is anything outside of the actual definition of the word? You can't be truthful with people like that you do not know in public. And God forbid you marry one of them. Gentlemen, listen to me. A woman like that, and by the way, she was 30 or 31 because she said her age. Women like that will lie to you to get the ring, and at the point that you lose your leverage, will switch up immediately, because at that stage in the game, she's got you. And she could let her full modern women bust up out her belt and her seams, both literally and figuratively. And she says, words are up to the interpreter or the perception of the person that you're saying the words to. And my mind was goddamn blown. Apparently, to modern women today, you can't even say similar words to things that they don't even like. Or they will crush you underneath their thumb of shame, insults, guilt, and the need to be right. If you came up to her in a conversation between her and her future ex-husband, and you said, what a wholesome relationship between the two, she would take offense to it because she feels as if wholesome is similar to homely. You cannot make this shit up. So anyway, I backed myself up out of the conversation because I knew it was going to go down a path that was going to piss her off. And really, what is the benefit to me? I was just there trying to get a little bit of work done. So anyway, what do I conclude out of all of this right here? Number one, I get so many questions from people that ask me, why do you think that male-focused content has blown up online the way that it has? And my response to them is that several reasons, but men cannot express their logic, their thoughts, their feelings, their ideologies, or their rationalities en masse in public. And there has not been platforms for them to do it. But there's been platforms to promote everybody's equal. All thoughts matter. Your opinion is not more right than this person's opinion. Definitions don't matter. We're rewriting words. We're rewriting definition. Yay! It's your truth, your lived experience, whatever. Mistakes don't matter. And all this other bullshit. Because if a man is to offer a challenge in a public scenario like this, he will be looked at as the bad guy. If I offered a public challenge the same way that made women hate Kevin Samuels, which is direct, curt, and to the point, then I would have had a problem. Then so many of men would have problems if they did the same things. But not only that, but then the delusion is supported by the echo chamber. It's supported by the homegirls that are unwilling to check the bullshit that they hear as well. Final thoughts. The modern woman today has made her bed, so let her lay in it. Men, listen to me. Do everything in your power to become your best version of yourself and understand what is the best option for you. Is it to remain single? Assess your short-term and your long-term goals and make that decision. Is it in your best interest to become married and to have children? Assess your short-term and your long-term choices and make that decision. It is in your best decision to live a playboy lifestyle. Assess your short-term and your long-term opportunities and make that damn decision. Is it in your best interest to go abroad? Shout out to the passport bros. Assess your short-term and your long-term choices, opportunities, and options, and make that decision. Because the mind of the modern woman today is fundamentally gone. And they have no one but themselves and the simps that have supplanted the bullshit within them to thank. Until next time, YouTube, peace!